Chosen one, before this message continues, take a deep breath and remember something. Not every battle you fought has been visible. Some of your hardest battles happened in silence. While people smiled around you, you were fighting anxiety. While others thought you were doing fine, you were crying in private. While the world kept moving, you were asking God questions that no one else ever heard. Questions like, Lord, how much longer? Have you forgotten about me? Will my prayers ever be answered? Will my life ever change? If you've ever asked those questions, then this message is not a coincidence. Today, God is speaking directly to your heart. He says, My child, what I told you in secret is about to become visible for everyone to see. Chosen one. There was a day when I placed a promise inside your heart. It wasn't spoken through crowds. It wasn't announced with loud voices. It happened quietly, during a prayer, during worship, while reading my word, or during one of the darkest nights of your life. I whispered hope into your spirit. I planted a dream inside your soul, and although nobody else heard my voice, you did. Since that day, you've been holding on to that promise, even when nothing around you seemed to change, even when months became years, even when people laughed at your faith, even when your circumstances looked completely opposite of what I promised. Still, you believed. Some days your faith was strong, other days, you barely had enough strength to whisper, Lord, I'm still trusting you. And every one of those prayers reached heaven. Chosen one. People only see where you are today. They don't know the conversations we've had. They don't know the tears you've cried during midnight prayers. They don't know the promises I've spoken into your heart. They assume you're ordinary because they judge you by what they see. But heaven has never judged you by appearances. I have always looked at your heart. God says, the greatest miracles begin long before anyone notices them. Think about Mary. Before Jesus was born, nobody could see the miracle. The promise existed long before the world celebrated it. For months, the miracle was hidden, but hidden did not mean absent. It simply meant the right time had not yet arrived. Chosen one, your miracle has been growing in hidden places. Every prayer, every tear, every act of obedience, every moment you chose faith over fear has been preparing what I'm about to reveal. The enemy thought your waiting would destroy your hope. Instead, your waiting strengthened your faith. He thought your delay would make you quit. Instead, it taught you to depend on me. He thought loneliness would separate you from me. Instead, it brought you closer to my heart. Everything he meant for defeat, I have been turning into preparation. Chosen one. You have spent too much time believing that silence means nothing is happening. But look at nature. Seeds grow silently. The sunrise begins before anyone notices. The ocean forms waves long before they reach the shore. The greatest works happen quietly, before they become visible. God says, do not confuse my silence with inactivity. While you were waiting, I was working. I was arranging conversations you couldn't hear, opening doors you couldn't see, protecting you from dangers you never knew existed, removing obstacles before you reached them, preparing people whose paths would soon cross yours. Nothing has been random, nothing has been forgotten, nothing has been delayed without purpose. Chosen one. Very soon, you'll understand why certain prayers took longer than expected, because had I answered them too early, you wouldn't have been ready. Had I opened every door immediately, some of those doors would have become distractions instead of blessings. I was preparing not only the blessing, but also the person who would receive it. Chosen one. The world celebrates quick success, but heaven celebrates prepared hearts, because blessings without preparation often become burdens. That is why I've been building your character before revealing your calling, your patience before your promotion, your humility before your influence, your faith before your favor. God says, the breakthrough you've been praying for is no longer just a promise. It is becoming your reality. So don't lose hope now. Don't stop praying now. Don't stop believing now, because you're closer than you've ever been. The same God who whispered the promise is preparing to fulfill it. And when it happens, people will call it sudden, but you'll know. It was years of quiet preparation between you and God. Chosen one, if you're still listening, then perhaps you've been carrying a promise from God that nobody else understands. People have asked you, why are you still believing? Why are you still praying? Why haven't you given up yet? Some have even smiled at you while secretly doubting that anything would ever change. They looked at your circumstances and decided your future. They looked at your present and ignored God's promises. But today, God speaks with authority. My child, they are judging what they can see, but I am working in places they cannot reach. Chosen one, there were nights when you almost gave up, not because you stopped loving God, but because you became tired of waiting. You prayed, you fasted, you worshiped, you trusted. Yet every morning seemed to look exactly like the day before. Nothing appeared to change. The breakthrough didn't arrive. The answer didn't come. The door remained closed, and quietly you whispered, Lord, did I hear you correctly? Today God answers, yes, my child, you heard me correctly. The promise has never changed. Only the timing is still unfolding. Chosen one, think about Joseph. As a young man, God gave him dreams of leadership and honor. Those dreams were real, but immediately after receiving them, his life became more difficult. He was betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, forgotten in prison. If Joseph had judged God's promise by his circumstances, he would have believed the dream had failed, but every painful chapter was quietly leading him toward the palace. The pit wasn't the end. The prison wasn't the end. The waiting wasn't the end. They were all part of God's process. God says, never mistake the process for the final destination. Chosen one. Many times you have asked me, why is my journey taking so long? Because I am building something inside you that success alone could never produce. Patience, wisdom, humility, discernment, compassion, faith that cannot be shaken by circumstances. If I had given you everything immediately, you might have celebrated the blessing, but missed the relationship with me. So I allowed the waiting, because the waiting drew you closer to my heart. Chosen one, there were prayers I answered that you didn't even notice. I protected you from accidents you never saw. I closed doors that would have brought heartbreak. I delayed opportunities that looked good because I had something far better prepared. I placed people in your path at exactly the right moment. I strengthened you on days when you thought you couldn't continue. You called it coincidence. I called it my faithfulness. God says, even when you couldn't see my hand, I never stopped working on your behalf. Chosen one. The enemy became frustrated. He expected disappointment to destroy your faith. He expected rejection to harden your heart. He expected delay to silence your prayers. But every attack only pushed you closer to God. Every tear became another prayer. Every disappointment became another lesson. Every lonely night became another opportunity to hear my voice. What the enemy planned for defeat, I transformed into preparation. Chosen one. Remember Lazarus. By the time Jesus arrived, everyone believed it was too late. The stone had already been rolled into place. Hope had disappeared. People had accepted defeat. But Jesus wasn't limited by human deadlines. When everyone else believed the story was over, he spoke life, and what looked impossible became a miracle. God says, do not let human timing convince you that my miracle is late. I have never arrived too late. I always arrive at the perfect moment. Chosen one, the breakthrough you have been praying for, may be much closer than you realize. One phone call, one opportunity, one unexpected meeting, one answered prayer, one open door, one moment of divine favor can completely change the direction of your life. The blessing you've waited years to receive can arrive in a single day. Because I am not limited by time, I can accomplish in one moment what human effort cannot achieve in many years. Chosen one, do not allow weariness to steal your expectation. Keep waking up with faith. Keep thanking me before the answer appears. Keep praising me before the miracle becomes visible. Because faith always celebrates before sight confirms. Very soon, the promise I whispered into your spirit will become a testimony that no one can deny. People who doubted your future will witness my faithfulness. People who questioned your waiting will understand why you refused to quit. Not because you were stronger than everyone else, but because my grace carried you through every season. So hold on a little longer, keep trusting, keep believing, because heaven is already moving in your direction, your sudden breakthrough.